Are you ready for war? Because there's already a war going on. As a matter of fact, that war is raging. And if you aren't aware of that, I've got some bad news for you. You're on the wrong team. We'll use just two short passages of Scripture today. The first will describe the war. The second will make it clear whether you're on the right team or not. So what is this war? Let's quickly define this war to make sure we know what we're talking about. The Bible describes this war quite clearly in Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians 6:12 says this, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places." There are plenty of earthly battles and wars going on. Turn on the news any day of the week, and you can find some story about some war taking place somewhere on this planet. It never stops. But the passage in Ephesians talks about a battle that goes beyond these earthly battles. It describes a spiritual battle, a battle against cosmic powers and spiritual forces of evil. And it's easy to dismiss that because it sounds almost cartoonish to our ears. Some battle of mighty gods and superheroes up in the sky. But that's not it either. Because Paul tells the saints in Ephesus that this is our battle. This is the war that we have to be ready to fight. So what is this war? Where do I find this war? What does this war look like in my life? Glad you asked. Let me give you some examples of what this war looks like. Research shows that an average of 13 Christians are killed each day around the world because of their faith. That's a Christian killed about once every 2 hours of every day for no other reason than them being a believer in Jesus Christ. In North Korea, the punishment for being a Christian is basically a death sentence. Getting together with other Christians to study the Bible or worship God is literally putting your life at risk. Just getting caught with a Bible is putting your life at risk. In Sudan, 165 churches were shut down or destroyed in the past couple years. Not to mention the individual families that have been forced to flee their homes or have been detained or arrested on all kinds of false charges. And stories just like these are happening in many other countries around the world. Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Nigeria, Somalia, China, Malaysia, Libya, Algeria, Ethiopia, Turkey, Syria, Yemen, just to name a few. In Ukraine, that is in the news so often these days, the two largest Christian churches or religious organizations have been banned, with several of their leaders arrested and thrown in jail. You may say, that's terrible for them. I'm sorry about that, but that's not the world I live in. So that's not the war I face. But it's not just in these other places around the world. These spiritual forces of evil are also present in our society, in our culture, in our Western civilized culture, with their democratic governments and guaranteed freedoms. It's right here too. Let me mention some of those. In England, people are arrested for silently praying on the sidewalk on the other side of the street from an abortion clinic. They're not shouting and yelling. They're not restricting entry, not holding up protest signs. They're not even praying out loud, just quietly standing and silently praying. In the last 4 years in Canada, about one church building a month has been burned to the ground. That's obviously arson. Have you even heard about that? Did you know the government is barely even looking into it? Also in Canada, one pastor was arrested multiple times for keeping his church open during the pandemic. Another pastor was arrested twice for protesting drag queen events being conducted for children. Seems that showing a commitment to God and following His design for marriage and family will get you arrested in Canada. And can we just be real about what's going on here in the United States? There are about 900,000 abortions in the U.S. each year. Over 900,000 innocent lives destroyed before they ever had a chance. And if you stand up for the unborn, you're accused of not respecting women. If you stand up against drag queen and transvestite performances for school-age children, you're labeled homophobic. If you adhere to the Bible's definition of marriage being between a man and a woman, you're narrow-minded and full of hate. If you don't think that the genitals of underage children should be mutilated, you supposedly don't care about children? During the COVID pandemic, churches across the nation were ordered to close, but liquor stores could stay open. What does that tell you about what our values are in this country? FBI offices have initiated actions calling traditional Catholics domestic terrorists. School systems across the country are teaching our kids that boys can be girls and girls can be boys. All of these things are a manifestation of the spiritual forces of evil that Paul warned us about. There is a war going on. A war for the heart and soul of who we are and what we stand for. And it's not somewhere else around the world. It's right here in front of us every day. You see, the forces of evil are not just on the doorstep. They've entered the house. Sure, maybe it isn't as bad here as it is some places around the world, and we should be grateful for that. But we shouldn't let that lull us to sleep. Getting arrested for praying? For going to church? Being told you can't talk about things that are directly in the Bible? Your government actively promoting things that are completely counter to God's design and instruction? Don't stick your head in the sand. Those forces of evil are all around us. And if you open your eyes, you'll see them every day. Every day. And now, as promised, on to the critical part. Are we on the right team? Are we on the side of God? Or on the side of those evil forces? Now, don't scoff. It's not a silly question. And the answer may not be as obvious as we would hope. In Luke 9:23, Jesus says this, "If anyone would come after me, let him take up his cross daily and follow me." And 2 chapters later in Luke 11:23, Jesus makes this sobering statement. "Whoever is not with me is against me." Did you hear that? Jesus said, if you're not with me, you're against me. You see, He doesn't leave any room to straddle the fence. He doesn't leave any room to just stand on the sideline and cheer the others on. He says, if you're not on the field in the game pulling your weight, then you're against me. You're on the wrong team. So this calls for some self-reflection, doesn't it? Am I really in the game? Do I stand up, speak up for biblical principles? Or do I keep my mouth shut because people might not like what I have to say? Do I refuse to go along with things that the Bible speaks against? Or do I passively keep my mouth shut because I need my paycheck? I know I won't get that promotion if I'm vocal as a Christian. Do I teach my children to stand up for godly principles? Or do I teach them to go along to get along? We'll be good people in our own home. There's no point in picking fights out in the world. We could go on and on and on. There's opportunity every day to stand with Jesus, to stand on biblical principles, or to just be quiet and let the more vocal, more passionate Christians fight the good fight. I've got too much at stake to get in the game right now. But Jesus said very clearly that if you're not with me, you're against me. If you're not with me, you're against me. I can't answer that for you, and you can't answer that for me, but there's a war going on, and we better be on the right team. We'll close with one more thing that Jesus said. So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I will also acknowledge before my Father who's in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny before my Father who is in heaven. You're with him or against him. You confess him before men or deny him before men. There's no middle ground. There's a war going on. I hope and pray you're on the right team. Thanks for listening. May God bless you on your journey.